You're listening to Everything B9 on the Everything BCFC network.
Hello, Bulldogs. My name is James Kelly, and welcome to the EverythingB9 Podcast, part of the Everything BCFC network. This podcast is for the fans, by the fans, where we deep dive into all things Birmingham City Football Club. Whether it's matchday bars, tactical breakdowns, or exclusive interviews, we've got you covered. So, let's get started with today's pod. Who's on the pod today? We have not only the one and only Tom Oxford. Tom, welcome back. How are we doing?
Yeah, man, let's get this show on the road.
Indeed. So, let's bring in a second contributor to the team, shall we? Let's bring in Carl Hills. Carl, welcome back. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, lads. Thanks for having me. Getting excited for it. A bit disappointed that Oxen's drinking milk before a podcast, but there you go.
Tom,
Can't beat it, man.
What
You
is
can't
that?
beat it. There is nothing like fresh dairy. Nothing more refreshing.
That count as fresh dairy? It's pasteurised milk, Tom.
Oh,
Fresh,
off.
is it?
but what's everyone's drink of choice? So I've got the usual orange squash to keep me going. Carl, have you got anything? Water, maybe?
I've got basic white girl Stanley Cup, but there is squash in it.
There you go. Tom, your drink of choice is?
Semi-skim milk, man. Where it's at. It's where it's at. And do you know what? Normally I'd have picked up a beer, but I didn't have any beer in the fridge. And I didn't really fancy any water. And this was just a bit quicker to grab than to grab a glass and fill up the tap, which is a testament to my laziness, truly. So here I am with my milk. And do you know what? You can't beat it. I'm also lactose intolerant, so I don't know why I do this to myself. And then I walk into the office the next day and my colleagues hate me, and I wonder why.
I wonder why, because the smell of the office of Tom just drifts around.
Oh, it were bad this morning, and we had a new starter. Bless her soul, poor Laura.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, there you go.
Shout out to you,
Cheers.
Laura. Cheers, everyone. Let's talk Charlton first of all. Carl, you were there. It was almost technically the first away day back in the season, other than the actual league game. What do you make first away day being back? And also the Valley's a great stadium as well.
Well, it would have been better if we hadn't had to wait an hour and a half for the tickets to turn up. We were told it would be open for 5 for collection. I say an hour and a half. I think they turned up around 7:15. Because Blues sent them down on the fan coaches and not the team coach, which I know there's a lot of things that obviously United have done right so far, but I think we can all agree the ticketing stuff is something they need to work on. It's not there yet. And there are a lot of Blues fans still outside the ground, which then led to a rush to get in and so on and so forth. As for the Valley, obviously it was quite empty given it was a cup game. I was lucky enough to be there. I don't know if you chaps were when Jude scored and Lee Bowyer got sent off because we threw that ball on the pitch and he absolutely lost his shit. I think it's a decent venue. The away end hasn't changed in over 5 years since we were there. It's literally same kind of, I'll call them toilets, but it's more of a trough, I think, to be fair. The same bar, same stand, so that hasn't changed. But I think it's a decent venue. It's obviously really easy to get to for a lot of fans in terms of you've got Charlton train station literally there, and then obviously the O2 Arena is super close by. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not necessarily the highest on my list of stadiums, but yeah, it was still decent. And I think it was 1,900 Blues fans there, so not bad for a cup game midweek. So yeah, it's decent.
Do they still have the £8.50 sausage rolls?
They do. They only have the sausage rolls or the pies, and that is it.
Yeah, literally. I remember spending dough on that a few years ago. But do you know what? It did taste really nice, but not £8.50 nice.
£8.50 for a sausage roll.
Outrageous. It's London. It's London. Well, you don't really.
But it's a sausage roll.
Yeah, I know. You could have just gone to your local Greggs and had it for £1.50 these days.
I'm
which
sure you
I
probably
also
should
think
find
is
one
a
as well.
option.
I'm sure there's a Greggs outside.
Yeah, but they probably
nearby-ish.
charge you £5 for a Greggs sausage roll in
That's
London.
still somewhat better. It's still not good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad as £8.50. What?
It's just
Yeah, it
food
was
in general at
disgusting.
football grounds, though, isn't it? It is just overpriced.
What are they pricing again? Going on a little tangent. What are they pricing here at St Andrews at the moment now for the new food? Is it still the same?
Off my head.
It's like £6.50 a hot dog, £6.50 a burger.
You
and
expect that from hot dog and a burger, yeah, but sausage rolls
Yeah,
like, ooh,
but
do you know what I mean?
some of the fancy food outside the ground. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm going to Blues every week at the moment and spending like 50 quid at St Andrews
Yeah.
easily, right?
Yeah.
Because although the beer price is probably the one thing I will say isn't too bad, £5.50 for a cruise campo is a reasonable price. Although I have always been of the firm belief if I'm paying any more than a fiver for a pint at any pub, I deserve the glass with it. So there we are. But that's probably why I have so many glasses in my kitchen. On top of that, it's all the fancy meals they've got outside the ground. Don't get me wrong, they all slap. They all taste really, really nice, but it's like 15 quid.
Yeah.
And you just see the money leave.
Nighthead are just enticing you in, Tom. They're like, come on, why don't you have gyozos? Why don't you have some chips and some really fancy chicken? Like, all sorts.
Commission. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly. They've earned it. Again, go back to Charlton from food because we love going on tangents. That's what it's all about. That's what a podcast is all about. You just never know. Quickly going over stats. Possession, 63% for Blues. Wow, when have we had that in an away game or even a home game? To 37% Charlton. Now, Brandon Keller. Is this an uprising story, Carl, that we think actually he could turn into a player? And he even celebrated like a certain someone that we know very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite funny actually. I would say that up until the point he scored, he hadn't had the best game. Given the ball away a few times. I think he may have given the ball away that led to eventually to the pen. Look, he's young. He's playing out of position. Of course, he's central midfielder, right foot central midfielder, playing at left back, which he's well out of position doing a job. But I think there's enough talent there. I think he just, like all of our youngsters, needs the game time. And then as for the goal celebration, well, it was weird because it was almost exactly where Jude did it 5 years ago, in front of the away fans. It was like one of those weird moments where you're like, I've seen this before. I've seen how this story plays out, and really decent. So it's quite surreal to see that celebration again. But yeah, it was what a moment. I was literally like, I was stood. I mean, you all saw me on the telly. I'm gonna plug that one as well. Sky Sports, you can pay me later. But I was literally right behind that goal as well. And like from the moment it left his foot, I said to my old man that was there, I said, that's in, that's going in. And it just flew, and it was what a strike. But the celebration was something else. It was, I don't know, I didn't really know what to expect. I think he didn't really know what to do at first, and then just did that. But I think it's great homage there, and to see it 5 years after the first time I saw it there is pretty cool.
And as well, Tom Oxford, do we call it stupidity, reckless, or is it just Dion Sanderson, the red card?
I don't even think it was that bad. Like,
really?
I think it wasn't the smartest decision.
Right.
I think that the actual, like, was it that handball that was before the red card?
Yeah.
I thought it was. I actually thought that was really stupid. But, I could understand trying to slow down play, but there's doing it blatantly. But I rate the shithousery, so fair enough. The actual challenge on, I think it was Chukwuemeka he fouled.
Yeah.
I just think, shoulder to shoulder. Yeah, he probably leans in a bit too much. Do I think it's a yellow? No. I don't know.
Is that with you with your Blues hat on, or is that with you just general like football?
No, because opinion? I'm probably not even Dion Sanderson's biggest fan. Not that I don't like him. I just don't think he is as good as what we've got. And I love Dion's passion, and it always shows in every game. But I just don't, for me, I think even if a Charlton fan was sat there, I don't think they'd have said it was second yellow worthy, especially when, if I'm right, I don't remember Dion Sanderson getting any warnings before his first yellow.
No.
And you look at the amount of warnings players are given these days, especially when they repeat an offence. Refs are quite light these days, unless you wear a blue shirt. But, I just, for me, I've seen a lot worse happen in a game and somebody not get sent off. So I just thought it was soft. I thought it was soft, but it still wasn't smart. that's the way I see it. But I actually see it as a bit of a blessing because I really think Clara or however you pronounce the name of that beautiful man deserves to start, because I genuinely think he's the best centre half we've got, and I really like Bielik, but obviously you can see sometimes he's not quite. Although obviously in his youth career played a lot of the back, I just don't think he's quite as natural there as he probably was in a holding midfield role for the last few years at Derby and at Charlton and with us for the initial first sort of period of time.
Yeah, I'll agree. We'll dissect that really between that Clara. Oh, you got me going now. Clara and Bielik partnership in the Wycombe game, which we saw over the weekend as well. Carl, again, going back to Dion, what was your opinion on it? Obviously, you're there in the stands. Was there like a groan from the away fans? Oh no, or like okay, Dion could be in trouble here. Or was it like he had to kind of make it because it was like last man back, you maybe stop at a goal, all of that stuff. There's all of that really to bring into it.
I think the thing is, right, the thing about I love it is football's subjective, and like my opinion will be different to yours, different to Tom's, different to everyone's, right? For me, I think it's something that he didn't have to do. He doesn't have to give the referee that decision to make. Was it a booking? I think it was quite soft. And you're right, I don't remember Dion getting any warnings, to be fair, either after the first yellow, before the first yellow, whatever. But ultimately, in that position, you can't give the referee that decision to make. I think I was quite surprised to see him booked again and sent off, but I can understand why the ref has done it, because in his mind, he's stopped Anike running through onto the ball. He's pulled him back. He stopped a goal scoring opportunity, possibly. I think we're all a bit of a groan when they can see. We obviously the free kick we give, but I think we're all a bit surprised to see the second yellow. But then when you watch it back, you can kind of understand it. Again, I agree with Oxland, of course. The handball. I mean, to be fair, it's either handball or yank him down. I think either one ends up in a yellow. So I still think it's stupid. I think we've seen that a few times from Sanderson. He just kind of his head, not going to say it goes a bit, but it's not necessarily all the way thought through kind of thing. So, yeah, but I think it was soft, but I think it was probably right. I think if it was the other way round, we'd be screaming for it. And that's what's beautiful about the game, right? Is that the other way around, we're screaming for their defender to be sent off. So it goes around and comes around, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think for me as well, Dion, it's a slight liability at the back for me. He is prone to the odd mistake. And actually, I can see 50-50 argument, because I've seen Dion prior where he's absolutely phenomenal and he's been a brick wall at the back for us. He's been great. But the form hasn't helped for him at the end of last season, really, where we played so poor. And I think that slightly just drifted in for the new season. And I think with Chris Davies as well, he knows that he can bring in players or have different players in those positions that Dion would play. So it's a mixture, really. Dion has to almost like not really snap it up his game, because he's got it. Like, there's a player there for sure. And he's still young, don't get me wrong. Like, players can make these mistakes when they're younger, and then when they grow older, then they become a bit more wiser to decisions. But yeah, I just think we'll talk about it with the partnership, what we thought about with Clara and Bielik, but I think that's probably the main one, really. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when he does come back into the fold. With Dion getting a red card, it did rob us of a Yoko debut, annoyingly. He was stripped off, ready to come on, and then obviously change the tactical system, which is completely understandable. I did actually think that when we did change, I was like, oh God, here we go. It felt like a certain Isa Karanka where we just defend and shut up shop and see what we did. But we soaked him like a sponge, and we managed to do all right and get the result on the line. Sam Stead, how did he look, Carl? Obviously, his debut. There's a full back there that looks really promising.
Yeah, I think, look, considering not only was he coming in for his debut, I think he'd had 48 hours or whatever with the team, if that. I think he did really well. I think he looked really solid. I think he did everything that you want your fullback to do. I don't think, obviously, he doesn't quite have Laird's lightning pace, but I think he reads the game really well. And there's a few early battles that he won. I think that was really important for him, because I think if he's lost them, it might have maybe put him off. But he looked really solid. And even when we did go down to 10, there is that change in system. The outball isn't necessarily there anymore because we're just holding on at that point. He still looks solid. Still, considering he's not necessarily played a competitive game with team, I think he looked good. I really like him. I think he's really going to push Laird for that right back spot, and if Laird's form goes, or if he gets an injury, I think he'll struggle to get that place back. I think he looks really, really good. I was really impressed with it. Really impressed.
Yeah, again, it offers something different as well that Davies could actually put in. And we all have a passion merchant, don't get me wrong, but when it's the opposition dugout, it's a little bit different. So Nathan Jones was claiming Charlton controlled the game for 30 minutes. Tom Oxland, is Nathan Jones an idiot?
No.
So
I wouldn't quite go as far as controlled the game, but I also wouldn't say they certainly weren't the better side for the first half hour, because even if you don't have the ball, doesn't mean you're not the better side. They were a lot more effective than we were in that first half hour. They were the ones creating the better chances. You know, they had at least 3 efforts on goal from inside our box in that first half an hour alone. That, you know, if they'd been a bit sharper with or more clinical, then they could have got something from it. Luckily enough for us, after our goal, we did just dominate, just flat out dominate, starved them of the ball. They didn't really have any more notable chances, so to speak, bar maybe 1 or 2. But yeah, that first half an hour for me, they probably were in more control of the game than we were, and I think it just showed that we were still very rough with our new style and we hadn't quite settled in yet. So yeah, but then obviously once we scored, it just clicked, and that seems to be a common theme. You know, we saw it at the end of the Reading game. As soon as we scored, that's it. You know, we were all over them. It was similar at Wycombe this weekend. As soon as we scored, yes, we had a lot of the ball before that, but again, we weren't really creating many chances, if any. And then as soon as we scored, that's it. It's relentless. It's just relentless. And it's weird. It's like a burst of confidence. But, you know, that's, well, 2 games now this season where we've come from behind to either take a point or take all 3. That's one thing Blues haven't had for like the last 5 years. We just haven't been able to do it. I remember when there was a point where we hadn't won a game from coming from behind for nearly, I think it was 3.5 years.
Wow. Well, there was that
and
stat, wasn't there? That was like every time we go down a goal, whether it be at St Andrews, was it like, I can't remember. It was like 40, it was something like ridiculous, like 45 games or something. Absolutely astronomical.
yeah, we hadn't come back from behind in
Yeah.
years. And I can't remember who we first did it against to actually break the record. I know we did it recently to break the gutter. I think it was early last season. I can't remember who it was against for the life of me. But yeah, that was a bit off topic. Personally, I agree with Nathan Jones to an extent, maybe just not quite the right wording. But maybe there is a slight bias there because Nathan Jones did manage me in a 6-a-side, so I have a soft spot for him. I used to hate him before that, but until the 6-a-side, I thought, do you know what? You're a geezer. I am so sorry I was ever mean about you. So
6-a-side, tell me about it then. How did it happen?
Back when I was working at GRS, good times, we had this annual 6-a-side tournament of all the offices nationwide against each other at St George's Park. Every single team had a manager that was registered with the PFA, and my team was just so lucky enough to get Nathan Jones as our manager. And this was just before he went to Charlton and when he was linked with the Millwall job, I think it was at the time. But yeah, we had some great names there. We had Nathan Jones, Kolo Toure, Neil Lennon, who is everything you expect Neil Lennon to be. And, who else did we have? I can see. Dean Smith. Yeah. Funny story on Dean Smith. I wore my Blues shirt that day for the 6-a-side tournament. At the end of the day, he's all tanned up because he's just come back from holiday. He sees me in my Blues shirt. He's like, "Hey, up, you want a photo with me? Come here." And we've got all of these company cameras everywhere taking pictures of the day. Dean Smith literally grabs me, sticks his arm around me, and he's like this. And just taking and literally gets my colleagues to take pictures of me just there with the dullest face. But no, it was a cracking day.
I bet.
Never forget Nathan Jones. We were getting battered 3-0. We had 2 subs on the bench, and he literally, I don't even know how we got away with it. he just said, Go on, lads. Just go on the pitch. Just go on the pitch. And he just pushed our 2 subs on the pitch. He said, just sneak on. They won't notice. And the ref didn't notice. So we then all of a sudden just start dominating the game. And we did get a goal back. Unfortunately, we didn't equalise, but we did get a goal back. And that was because it was 8 versus 6 and nobody noticed. It was great. So, from that moment forth, I had heaps and bounds of respect for Nathan Jones.
Because he bent the rules of how many players that we could put on the football pitch.
Yeah, he did, and I respected it. I thought it was a good laugh, and he's a proper passion merchant, and he got us all psyched before every game. And do you know what? Out of 8 teams, we finished 3rd. So there we go.
Not bad. That's not bad.
That's my one claim to Nathan Jones' fame.
Speaking of passion merchant, Chris Davies was very passionate at the end of Charlton. Again, split fan opinion. Was it too cringy? Some people saying on Twitter it was a bit too cringy for a game against Charlton in the Cup. Only 1-0 to give it the old Jurgen Klopp, like punches and all that stuff. Carl, you were in the stands, or was it just, come on, you're embracing the fan base?
Well, we had interaction from Eustace, so I don't know what.
Yeah, it's Badge Tapper, wasn't it, Eustace? That's what he's known as.
I've got no problem with it, and the reason is that we went through Rooney, Spooner, Mowbray, Venus, and Rao at the end of last season. Now, don't get me wrong, there's only one name there that I detest as a manager. The rest, a lot of respect for. But they're very different characters. And whilst they're passionate in their own ways, they were never like that. They'd come over and applaud, but that would kind of be it, right? John Eustace, very much passion, very much badge tapping, getting in amongst it. Love that. I don't see what's wrong with it, personally. I think, look, it felt like he necessarily didn't want to do it initially. Was very much pushed forward by the players a little bit. It felt like. Okay. But I've got no problem with it. Why not? Who cares whether it's 1-0 against Charlton Athletic in the first round of the Cup or the last game of the season where we've won the league? Like, you know, if he wasn't celebrating with the fans, he'd get absolute torpedoes for not being passionate and not celebrating a win. So I've got no problem with it. Why not? It was his first competitive win under Blues. We've been under pressure in terms of we didn't win the opening game. We didn't coast to a 6-0 win or whatever. That monkey was off his back early doors, so why not? And I think he did it again against Wycombe, I think, if memory serves right. But why not? Who cares? If it's a thing we do, Russell Martin does it at Southampton, like every time they win. Every single time. I personally, I've got no problem with it at all. Is it cringy just because other managers do it and our fan base doesn't like it? That's down to the individuals. And if you don't like it and don't want to join in, you don't have to. But also on a away day, you get a bit swept up with it, don't you?
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. You know, you get swept up in all that kind of bravado and stuff. But no, I'm not going to be doing it at St Andrews probably if we win 1-0 against, you know, Mansfield or whatever. But an away day, it's a very different atmosphere and it's a very different set of fans. But I've got no problem with it. Let's enjoy it. It's going to be a hell of a season one way or the other. We've been playing the best football we've played in, God, I don't know. Were any of you even born the last time we played good football? I'm not quite sure when you guys were born, to be fair. You know, and let's just enjoy it. And if it means the captain or manager's give us a few fist pumps at the end, who cares? Just go for it.
Exactly. Let's talk good football then. Wycombe. Predictions real quick. Carl, you said 4-1.
I was right. Technically, 4 Blues players scored goals and Wycombe only got 1. So, technically correct. I'm not wrong.
There you go. Yeah. Tom said 1-0 and I said 2-1.
Yeah, no, I expected it to be a much more boring game than it was. Hell was I wrong. And in fairness, although it was a 3-2 score, it definitely wasn't a 3-2 game, but we scored 3 goals in one game away from home, so I can't complain. Let's
dissect it, shall we? So, possession, if you thought the first one was good, 74% possession from a Birmingham City side. Who think we would see the days? 26% Wycombe. Unbelievable to have that amount of possession, but that's obviously what we're going to expect now going forward. First of all, Tom, in terms of atmosphere, you were there, weren't you? Wycombe, first away day. What was it like, first of all? Adams Park, you said you were looking forward to going to Adams Park. Did it fulfill expectations?
I thought it was a brilliant ground. It has a lot of character. I thought it was really cool. I love that it's just on a cliff face with loads of trees behind it. Like, really scenic, just fun ground. So, and Wycombe itself as a place is actually quite nice. Right, it's not too bad. It's a bit hilly, but overall, quite a nice trip. And then just to top it off, you get in the ground, and the atmosphere was buzzing in that away end. Buzzing. We actually sang more chants than just keep right on and we're Birmingham City. Like, we had a few things in the locker. I couldn't quite believe it. We got a new Chris Davies chant. We got a new Alfie May chant. Yeah, we had it all going on. We had it all going on. And, we even had an Emil Hansen chant in there. So, it was nice for us to just all of a sudden switch up the vocals and have some different songs. I just hope that they carry through the rest of the games, particularly the new Chris Davies chant. Big fan of Bielik at the back, Alfie in attack, Blues are going to the Premier League. So there we go. But really good, really enjoyable. And I suppose just to quickly touch on the end of, post-match scenes and all that passion jazz, I, for one, absolutely love the whole, get the crowd side thing. I mean, we're not doing the punches, so we're not doing the Jurgen Klopp thing. We're doing arms up, which is cool. I love it. I love Bielik doing the punches as well. I think it's sick. And I know there's a few Blues fans out there that are just like, oh, yeah, we're not that kind of club. That's not Blues. That's not Blues. Oh, we're not about that. And it's like, oh, just have fun.
What are they American?
Just lighten up. Just lighten up. Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. Like, what's that Sky Sports clip of who was it that said it? Just enjoy it, man. Oh, Rio Ferdinand. That's what this moment is. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. Again, talking into the game, we were very different opinion on Laird in the Reading game to this game, where is this what it's going to be? Are we going to get mixed games from him against opposition that will sit back? He'll embrace that. And obviously he's been asked to play so high. I mean, almost winger high. So we're going to be susceptible to the counter basically down our right. And opposition teams then, tactically, surely going to leave someone quite higher out there quite often. What did you make of Laird, Carl? Again, obviously, the assist as well we'll talk through and that, etc. But really positive.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've sort of seen and read about it, I think it was definitely a much better performance. The way we're playing, and I know we'll probably talk about it a bit later, the way we're playing, we're going to get counted anyway, regardless of who goes forward. And I think Laird has got that speed. And going back to the Charlton game, some of the plays, I'll get my words out in a minute. Some of the play he had with Anderson and Tyler Roberts was phenomenal. They just knew where they were, and that was incredible. And I think you need that kind of partnership, that kind of trust to build. But yeah, I think against teams that are going to kind of invite us, somebody's going to bomb on, but we will have to be wary of people setting up someone high and wide to, catch him out. But look, I think it comes back to its early season. Some of these players probably still got a bit of a hangover from last season. In my mind, I know there was a lot of sack them all off at the end of the season, but they've got a second chance to prove themselves. And I think he really stepped up. And again, I come back to what I said about Samstead not dampened, as the team sheet originally said, I believe, from memory. With that, he's got that competition. He knows if he's not good enough, as proved with Dembele, he's out. It's as simple as that. So I think we're going to for me, I hope, and I think we're just going to see consistently high performances, I think, from him. That everyone has a bad game here or there, so you can forgive that. But I think we're going to see a lot more and a lot like the version of even Laird we thought we'd see last season, as long as he stays fit.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing, as long as he stays fit, because he's known to the odd trip to the injury bed, sadly. Tom, on Laird quickly, actually, is with the introduction of Samstead, does that put more pressure on Laird? Right, I've got to perform now.
Yeah, definitely, because everything I've seen of Samstead in really small spells has been quite exciting. As for Laird, I think it was interesting against Wycombe. I thought going forward he was brilliant defensively, and yet you can lean into the fact that he is being asked to play so high up the pitch. It's just not happening. Like he's getting beaten in one-on-ones. He's not tracking back in time, and we do seem to be really vulnerable down that side. but he is also crucial to us overlapping and getting forward, and he's always the one that breaks us into the box. So it's hard to find a balance in that. Maybe you need someone from midfield to drop into that right back slot while he pushes forward and then rotate back in. But then we're so attacking that we want those midfielders going forward and dropping into space to keep playing the ball. So it's hard, but I do think we need to try and plug the gap, because it has started to show, and particularly showed against Wycombe, because a lot of their breaks came down our right hand side. Both of their goals, both of them, and led at the end of the game. Keshi was kind of trying to push him forward to celebrate with the fans, and he kept turning away, and he went like that. No. And I think it's because he knew defensively he'd had a really, really tough game. So I think despite his attacking nature being so positive, despite the first assist, which was great, he's still very frustrated with his own defensive play. So it'd be interesting to see how we try and plug that gap, because I do think we really need to, and I don't think it's entirely Laird's fault, just because a lot's being asked of him. So yeah, it will be interesting, but I was quite sad not to see such a smile on his face at the end of the game, because his smile is very infectious, and I only ever wish happiness on that man.
He's a personality, isn't he? That's the main thing. He brings that personality to the dressing room. What were we just quickly going to say, Carl?
I think it's really interesting, because if you remember when at the start of last season, Eustace was doing exactly the same thing with Laird, right? He was pushing him on, and we were dropping Sunjic or whoever was that holding midfielder back, and then pushing someone out wide to cover it. So I do wonder if Leonard or someone will be asked to drop back to do that, or sit deeper. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting. We've come full circle, want to play this great attacking football, but actually on that right hand side especially, we're doing something that John Eustace was doing when we were tearing Huddersfield and West Brom apart. So I think coming back to the whole, I know it's very outdated, the no fear football, I think it's interesting that we've got a coach that's doing that, and it is costing us the way we would concede goals last season at times. So I think it's a really interesting parallel. But yeah, I think Chris Davies he's so analytical that was his job, wasn't it, for a few years. And there's no way he won't be sitting back watching the game, seeing that, and he will come up with some kind of plan, whether we go back three and maybe Sanderson or Clara moves over, Bielik sits in the centre, and Cochrane plays on like a 3 in attack and a 4 in defence maybe. But yeah, I just think it's really interesting, the parallels between Eustace and Davies. I mean, just down the right side, not anything else, of course, but mainly down that right side with Laird.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk about positive. Hansen was so lively on that wing. I mean, Emil Hansen is a player, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, I still was shocked that he didn't make the starting 11 for the first game of the season, because for me, he was one of the standouts, if not the standout in pre-season. He's just so calm and collected on the ball, really skillful, which is evident because it's probably like the main asset to his game. Loves to cut inside and beat a man, and he is a high-level championship winger that is playing in League One, so you can't really ask for much more, and has certainly impressed, and I don't think he'll be very far away from his first Blues goal, in all honesty.
Yeah, for sure. Again, there is definitely a player there. He just excites you, doesn't he, going down that wing, and you can kind of beat the drop of the shoulder. Speaking of someone drop of the shoulder, we'll be talking about Yoko. Don't worry, anyone watching. Oh, we are so happy about Yoko. We'll be bringing that up. Talk about the first goal, then the open on the counter, like you said, Carl. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, Bielik just wrong time and wrong place. Not a lot you can do that, really.
No, I mean, look, those are the kind of own goals you see up and down the country week in, week out, right, where defenders are trying to cover that middle. I think, look, we've said it countless times already about being caught on account on this pod. It's going to happen, unfortunately, with the way that we play. Yeah, just wrong place, wrong time. Probably wrong body shape. He's trying to twist his body around and kick it out for a corner. It's one of those things where he's either really lucky and he goes out for a corner, or he does what he does in it. It's actually a really great finish, to be fair. So, yeah.
Put him up top.
Yeah, get him up there. Yeah, he could be our third striker. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's football, right? We've seen it all enough times at all levels of the game. So, yeah.
Exactly. I think if a cannon's off him, there's not a lot you can do. You can't really turn that over I mean, the ideal thing is, which you've seen a lot of times with some players, is they try to kind of cannon it and turn it over the bar, which still looks like, oh my God, that's a bit like scary in that aspect. But yeah, there's not a lot you can do really with that one. Talking about who knows how to find there, Alfie May Bagsman. He becomes the first Birmingham City player to score in Blues' first 2 league games of the season in 9 years. The last one, actually, in 2015, a certain Spanish midfielder. Do you know who that is, Tom?
2015, did you say? John Terrell.
John Terrell. We love
Yeah.
John Terrell.
I remember it. It was first goal was against. Oh, which one was first? Was it Reading or Burnley? I think the first goal was against Reading, and then the second one was against Burnley. And I remember them both because the Burnley one was just outside the box, and it's sweet strike. And then the Reading one was a header from across from David Cottrell. There you go. Bosh, rain.
Brain sticking. Again, quickly on Alfie May. Then we were talking about Laird, that chest down. I mean, it does show that if you do bring that attacking player up, bring that fullback into the attacking mode, and he plays attacking football, and you put him out the right to chest it down, beautiful assist. How you doing? Bosh straight to Alfie May. It's going to be the back of the net every time. But first of all, actually, the ball from the back, Bielik just a diag straight over the top. We still love our long ball, and we're still very good at it, but we can turn it then into attacking play as well. Alfie May, the goals are just going to keep tallying, aren't they, Tom?
Yeah, the bloke is literally magical. I think I'd quite happily, if Alfie May didn't score for the rest of the season from this point onwards, I'd still look at him and smile. The bloke just makes me happy. I don't know what it is. I just look at him and he just makes me happy. And I think it's just because he just looks like a wicked striker. He's just got that element of shithousery to him. I'm loving all the Twitter back and forth with other fan bases at the moment. I'm here for it. And I think he's just going to go and score another 25 goals, if not more, because it's just what he does. You know, it's what he does. It's what we do. But yeah, no, I really, really like Alfie May, and he is just a natural born poacher and just a generally good finisher, right place, right time. And Blues haven't had that to a level of quality for a while. So it's exciting.
I always say we'd never really replace Shay Adams. I think we have. I think now Alfie is really time to prove himself. Different division, don't get me wrong. But that figure where you expect Che to score a goal every game, that is Alfie now. I think Alfie, hopefully his XG would be 1 goal a game. It is the hope. But then we've got other players that can score goals, including this man I'm going to talk now, Luke Harris. What a game for Luke Harris, Cole. I mean, the chance he had in the first half, almost scored off that one, and then the second goal, the second chance. Sorry. I mean. Then he came on. Ayumu Yokoyama. Yoko, I'm sure will be chanted for some time because he was unbelievable as well. But the connection between the two, we'll talk about for the third goal. But Harris as well, just the drop of the shoulder to find the net for the goal. Luke Harris was unbelievable, wasn't he, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what I mean? Because obviously I wasn't at the game, so I only watched the highlights. I didn't realise he'd played the ball out and then motored to get into the box. And I think that is something that we've not had from midfield for a long time. So I'm that desperate to get in the box and get on the end of it. I think it was really. I must admit, I've been a bit impressed with him, but I'm not overly impressed with him over the last couple of games. The Reading and the Charlton game, I think he did all right. He did a good job. But yeah, I think he really showed what he can do across the whole of the game against Wycombe, and I think rightly deserved that goal. But yeah, it was a great finish. Okay, maybe arguably the keeper could have done better with it. And that's just my goalkeeper hat on from when I were a wee lad. But yeah, I mean, the desire to get into the box and get on the end of that, to be there to provide that option for the pass is phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, I think maybe, James, we should just let you go on about Yoko and his run and his skill because you seem very passionate about him.
Yeah. We will talk about it. Don't get me wrong, but we'll talk about this as well because oh my God! So we then set the score at 2-1, and the passing round the back They do it in modern day football now across the board. It doesn't matter how or what. Football fans have to get used to this passing round the back. But it just puts you on the edge of the seat, heart in the mouth moment. I'll briefly break it down. Clara to Bailey Peacock-Farrell, who sends it back to Pake, who back to Bailey Peacock-Farrell. Just a bit of tick-a-tacker, as you would. Never think you'd have tick-a-tacker about Birmingham City, ever. You put tick-a-tacker in Birmingham across with Birmingham City, it doesn't exist. Then a two-man press happens from Wycombe, and they're going, oh, what's happening here? It's straight to Bielik, back to Cochran on the wing, who then puts it into Alfie May, who, by the way, is the striker running straight back to get the ball on the edge of the box, who then plays it to Pake, who puts the most awful touch. That's like me on FIFA, pressing RT too long. No, horrific touch. And it puts it straight into the line of the Wycombe attack, who put a ball straight over the top, and they just... it's still wide of the post. It's not an almost score. But my key is, obviously, it's heart in mouth moment football. But does it show actually... playing risky possession-based football, that will hurt against top opposition. Especially I'm thinking of the games that were on Sky Sports and like you said, it depends on who it is, really, the opposition. But you play that football, it's going to be risky, unfortunately, Tom.
Indeed. Very risky. And I think we will get used to it. I think if you look back sort of in reflection to kind of what Matt Bloomfield said in a way, we reminded him of Ipswich a couple of years ago. All of Ipswich's games were high scoring, and they conceded a lot of goals. And that was the same for last season in their promotion season. This style of play, you won't always be the most defensively sound team, but you will just have fun and outscore everybody. That is almost like your aim, to just score. And it's about time we had that kind of fun at Blues. And don't get me wrong, I think things will level out and we will become a lot more defensively sound. We've proven we can keep a clean sheet away from home against sides that are in the same division as us already at Charlton. Saw some really good defensive signs there. Yeah, I think we'll click. It's just early doors. I think they need at least 6 games for us to see any real structure and consistency. So, yeah, I'm not worried. But the fact that we're scoring goals now is a big plus, particularly from open play. And I think we needed that now. And hopefully we can take that into next weekend, which I think is going to be a really tough game with Leyton Orient, who have performed well in both of their opening games and lost. And that concerns me, that Gab's prediction a few podcasts ago, our first banana skin being Leyton Orient. And to be honest, I can kind of see it. And yeah, but that's how I'm feeling about it. I think just so long as we're consistent, we keep scoring goals, and we just need to improve that defensive element to our game. But we also need to make sure that every game going forward, we're at people from the off, not just when we go a goal down or when we score. We need to just be consistently at a high level of tempo and not just picking and choosing, because that's kind of what it feels like sometimes. It's a bit weird, and I don't think it's intentional.
We will be scoring goals as long as the Yumi Yokoyama plays. That's how we will score goals, because, oh my God, okay, we're breaking it back down. The second goal, the drop of the shoulder, by the way, the drop of the shoulder to get rounded with the pace. I mean, we have a player there as well, Carl, and it shows actually the recruitment we're doing in the Scandinavia market, the Asian recruitment as well that's coming in, or whoever that can be, any European country. But we've got we've got players that we wouldn't think would be associated to Birmingham City. They normally would be up at Burnley or do you know what I mean? Those type of clubs do tend to bring in that type of recruitment, and it's so exciting to see a player like him, or I dare I say it, Stoke. Stoke have got some Asian players. There's like that type of recruitment coming in. It's got to be exciting and a breath of fresh air as well for fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we haven't had a lot to get excited about. Let's be honest, as Blues fans, and the ones we have had to get excited about have not really fired. So it's incredible to see. I think Miyoshi did really well in his first season in the Championship. I think he's maybe struggling a little bit with the physicality currently, but these players that are coming in from, like you say, from nations that we traditionally wouldn't expect to sign players from, they've not just come into our side and maintained it, they've come in and actually improved it, I think, personally. and I think, I mean, the drop of the shoulder. I mean, I remember Blues. I think someone tweeted Blues saying, "Oh, have you got any statistics or stats on this guy?" And they just went, "He's fast. He's really fast." And I was like, "Okay, Blues. I mean, clubs love to hype things up." And then I watched that highlight, and I was like, "That's ridiculous. That turn of pace is insane to do that." So, I think we've got another real player on our hands. I think it'll be interesting to see how he does with longer minutes. Of course, you've got to get him into playing 30, 60, 90, whatever. But what a time to be a Blues fan, not just for what is happening at the club, but with the players that we've got coming in and the players we're attracting as well, because these players would normally be at the lower level of the Championship or in the Championship, right? So, I think it's really exciting. I think it's great.
I'm sure it's competition as well. I'm sure that Blues aren't the first name sheet on the first name basically to on that team sheet to bring Yokoyama in. I'm sure there's other clubs out there as well. But Tom, again, he is pacey, he is quick, he's gonna provide a different alternative, even sometimes off the bench if he's not going to be played from the start.
I think for me, it's so hard because we've got some really, really good players. So to pick that three behind Alfie May is really hard because I think Keshi Anderson has proven that he deserves to play. I think Emil Hansen has proven he deserves to play. Dembele, to an extent, if he stays with the club, I don't think he will. I think he'll go before the end of the summer window, but deserves to play. And Yokoyama deserves to play. Miyoshi deserves to play. Willumsson deserves to play. How on earth do you pick from all of that quality? And I'm glad we're playing Mark Leonard in more of a deeper midfield role because even then, throughout his career, naturally, he's actually played a number 10 role coming up through the ranks. And he used to rotate quite a bit at Northampton. So we have so much quality there. And now you can sit here and say that Luke Harris deserves to play as well, who I wasn't too keen on when he came on against Reading. I don't remember if he came on or not at Charlton, to be honest. He started at Charlton. Well, there you go. That says how much I noticed of him because I noticed Tyler Roberts a lot more, and I know Tyler Roberts played in the number 10 role instead of Harris. But it definitely showed that Harris is better in a number 10 role. I think Willumsson is clearly better in a number 10, but how you can pick between all those players, I don't know. I'd be interested to see Yokoyama start to see if that level of energy that he showed at Wycombe could be there for 90 minutes. Because that, I think, begs a question in itself. But for me, if you had to go for the most technically gifted wingers we've got right now, I think Hansen and Yokoyama take those wide roles. And I actually think Willumsson's more effective off the bench. So I probably would put Harris at number 10 or Keshi. Or I'd put Keshi on the wing and Hansen or Yokoyama behind May. But I think if it boiled down to it, those are the best three to go behind the striker. It probably is Keshi, Hansen, and Yokoyama, and you could play them in any position behind Alfie May.
So really, you don't know who you'd put in there?
No, I don't. Those are the three I think I'd go for if you put a gun to my head. And I think,
it's the squad depth, isn't it? That's the main thing. It's we've got the squad depth really to rotate. That's the main thing. And these games are going to come really quick, aren't they, Carl? Especially in the winter period where they go into Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, that type of game. You will need rotation. And I think Blues will really excel at the top of the league if they want to stay at the top of the league. And towards that is them with rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've got, even if we don't go far in, the further in the League Cup past Fulham, go far in the EFL Trophy, which of course we are because we're going to win it, and the FA Cup, you've still got a minimum of 50 games or so, give or take. You need that rotation because players have got to stay fit. You can't run them into the ground. It's as simple as that. So you're going to have to rotate, and the best teams, effectively, the ones that manage those heavy game periods better, and their squad's better. Do you know what I mean? You don't win the league if you're putting, with all respect to the youth, in because you've got injuries. So, and Tom didn't even mention Tyler Roberts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That is how ridiculous it is that Tyler Roberts, who was in the Premier League with Leeds, 2 years ago, 3 years, whatever it was, can't even get into the squad of us in League One. And that just shows you the depth that, like, in that attacking area. I know he's been used deeper as well at times, Roberts, but yeah, it's just insane. And it's not what we're used to. It's very bizarre.
We saw a few Blues fans get the boos go to their head, though, a little bit, didn't we? From certain clips online.
Yeah, we did. And I had...
Was it you, was it?
No, it wasn't me. Unfortunately, I drove, but hopefully soon enough, I won't be driving to whichever next away game. I think I'm going to get the tube for Orient, to be honest. But annoyingly, none of my friends have managed to get a ticket, so I'm just on my ones.
Oh.
So anyone wants to go to Leyton Orient with me and give me a friend, I'm all ears. Appreciate it. Hashtag FindTomAFriend. That would be great.
Although it's like concern, obviously, injury, it could be a little bit injury prone, maybe. Obviously, that's why you have the squad depth, isn't it, for injuries to cover that. Potentially the injury resurfacing. Obviously, he landed on Bailey Peacock-Farrell very awkwardly after a high save from Peacock-Farrell. Is that worrying signs for a new signing for his calibre, or is it he just needs to get used to the league, where I think in the Eredivisie he was the main man, Carl? Is it worrying signs for new signings to be substituted so often for injury?
I mean, Davies did say that he'd had a knock anyway, right? I think you're going into the Reading game. So if it's exacerbated it, it's exacerbated it. I think it is always worrying when you see someone constantly brought off, but we've got the squad depth, so it doesn't faze me at all. I think, yes, there is a certain amount that's got to get used to the physicality of the league, which is ironic given the size of him. Getting used to physicality is, you'd think, isn't an issue, but I don't think it's that much of a concern. I think if he's had a knock and it's just been, made slightly. I mean, I must admit, I was shocked that he was actually in the squad for the game. Because obviously all of those of you that read my preview did expect him to be a doubt. So yeah, I was quite surprised that he was in the squad, but it is what it is. If he's got a knock, we've got the squad depth. Yeah, it's a worry, but also not a worry, which is again a weird place to be in as a Blues fan, because normally it's crap, he's injured again. Here we go. Who's going to play there? I'm going to have to take my boots on Saturday. Blah 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 blah. Not me. Christ, my nose doesn't even run. But I don't think it's that much of a concern.
Talk about that winning feeling then away from home. First away day of the season in the league, and a win. Again, Davies, passion merchant. We've already said that. We all love that, don't we, secretly? But more Bielik as well. Bielik obviously celebrated with the fans. You said about the punches, Tom, or Carl, I can't remember which one he said it earlier on. Is it good to have a passionate captain, Tom? Does that relay then for the rest of the dressing room? It's positive?
Yeah, I think he also just wants to show that he cares, despite having arguably a really poor game against Wycombe. And I think he knew it, and it was more, as well as passion, it was relief, because we played so well and deserved to win that game. But he that first half he was pretty shaky, as well as the own goal. Literally right in the first 5 minutes of the game, we had the ball in our box, and he misplaced a pass straight to their striker, who went to round the keeper. He gets round Peacock-Farrell, but Mark Leonard just swoops in to nick the ball from his feet. And we got very lucky there. Very, very lucky. And it wasn't the first time or the last time he gave the ball away in our third in that game. So, yeah, I think it's a combination of passion and care, but also a big, big relief, because he didn't have his best game. And I think a lot of the defenders probably felt that way. I think the only defender who could say he had a great game was Cochrane. He was really solid down the left and didn't really give Wycombe much of a chance all game. So yeah, it's nice to see that passion, especially from the captain. And I don't think that'll be the last we see it this season. And I think he probably also mentally he's come off the back of 2 championship relegations now in recent years. He's probably thinking, is it me? Because I know if I was a central defender, I'd start questioning my own ability if I'd been relegated with 2 championship clubs in 3 years. Like, you do start to ask those kind of questions. But this time he's chosen to not only stay with us in League One, but sign a contract extension, not leave like he did at Derby, and work his absolute socks off to try and get us out, and just showing that he cares. And he's not perfect, and maybe there is an element of nerves. to just perform well and live to the expectation. And I think we've already seen that in Dion, and we're probably starting to see it in Bielik a bit. So I think it's just a case of getting through those first 6 games of the season and everybody building up a bit of steam and a bit of confidence. And then hopefully it'll be heads held high from there.
But it does show you have to be on the ball from minute 1 to 90, because if Blues are going to be known as the big fish in the small pond, there's going to be teams that tactically think, right, how do we break them down? If we're not switched on from the start, like you said just then, with that chance, anything could happen, no matter what opposition, whether it's high opposition or if it's the low block opposition that we're most likely they're gonna sit back and allow us to attack. And that's obviously where the goals need to come from. So if we're performing well with the attacking players, happy days. Here's a stat for you. We love another stat for all you stat fans. Birmingham City now have won back-to-back away games in all competitions for the first time in 364 days. Wow, that's a stat for you. First time back-to-back away games in all competitions. Unbelievable, hey. But hopefully that's the new signs of the times now. So let's talk about Leyton Orient then, coming up on Saturday. Leyton Orient, actually, as you said, Tom, played very well, but they're yet to pick up any points so far in the League One campaign. Obviously, losing Bolton on the opening day, and then most recently Charlton. What seemed an even game as well, according to the stats as well, we should know. Carl, how do we expect from Leyton Orient? Obviously, they're scoring as well. We've obviously Alfie May scoring 2 goals so far this season. They're at Paudie O'Connor as well, scoring goals for them as well. So how do you reckon Blues will line up against Leyton Orient, and what do you expect from the game?
I think it comes back to what you said. We're the big fish in the small pond, so everyone's going to want to make an example of us, especially as we haven't lost yet as well. And the longer that goes on, the more they're going to want to do it. I think I can't see many changes. I would assume that Clara stays in ahead of Sanderson. I think the team probably stays as is. Obviously, if Thor's injured, is injured, badly and will miss out, then there's a space on the bench maybe. I think the real selection will come on that left. Who's going to get the nod? I think that'll be interesting to see. Outside of that, I don't really expect many changes at all. I think Leyton Orient probably will feel hard done by losing the game against. I think it was Charlton, wasn't they lost to the weekend, like quite late on. So yeah, I think they're going to come out with a point to prove. Home crowd behind them with a scalp to take. It's I think one of the things that made me chuckle was, I believe there's a chant, Tom, and you can correct me, that we're in for a shock or something like that. The chant was in the.
Oh, it was so funny.
And I think whilst it is obviously really funny when you're 3-1 up, there is always that chance. It is Blues. The moment we get arrogant, we get, pride cometh before the fall, as the posh people in literature say. So, yeah, I think it's going to be another tough game. I think they're all going to be tough games, really, because of us, Rex and Bolton, they're the teams everyone wants to beat. So, yeah, I expect it to be a tough game. You'd expect that they've watched it back. They'll start pressing us high a bit as well. Especially given that Wycombe chance that you highlighted, James, with the touch from Pape. So, yeah, I think no real changes. I think the selection headache will probably be on that left. I think it's a tough game, but that in this weird way, 3 games into the season, I've got whole belief we're just going to steamroller it all. There we go. He said it on camera, recorded, and people are going to bookmark the shit out of this. Yeah, but I think we're just, I think we've just got too much for them at the moment, he says. To go.
Of course. Obviously, Willumsson most likely probably will be unavailable due to a recurring knee injury. It's probably sensible as well to leave him out with that squad depth to allow someone in, allow a different player, and maybe alternatively to that attacking mid. Probably Luke Davies should be first name of the team sheet from his performance recently. But again, Keshi really positive as well. Like I said, there's loads of different players to choose from. Dion Sanderson will technically be back for selection after serving his 1-match ban. Tom, does he go straight back in, or do you think, right, no, we'll stick with Clara and Bielik? Do you reckon, what will Davies do?
Interesting, because we did keep a clean sheet at Charlton despite him getting sent off. I think personally he will stick with Clara and Bielik. I think that's what he'll do. But would I be shocked if he did drop Clara in favour of Sanderson? I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
But I think it would be interesting to see if he dropped Bielik and went for Sanderson and Clara instead, just because we've not seen that partnership yet since the West Brom friendly, where we saw it briefly. So, if he's still experimenting, you never know, you could see that. But personally, I think he'll stick with the exact same back line we had at Wycombe.
I think he'll know now early on by doing so many games, especially going on. He'll know what his back line is. It's like the famous saying, "Don't change your goalkeepers if you've got two really good goalkeepers." It's the same with your back line. You make sure there's chemistry between the two, and it's solid. So I think after a few games, he might throw Dion back in by all means. The Blues fans will be like, "What? Oh no." Give him a chance. As much as I'm not a real Dion fan compared to what we got with Clara and Bielik and the partnership there, give him a chance, see what happens, and we'll go from there. But EverythingB9 is not only the only content we're looking to provide here on the YouTube channel. Dugout Debate is a brand new show that we're looking to bring to the channel. It features Tom Watson or myself sometimes going into a live Zoom, which we call a boxing ring, with an opposition fan post-match to react based on the game. Tom, you're really looking forward to hopefully the first one, which we'll be looking to get out after a Leyton Orient. So that's going to be really exciting. So now it really kind of pones into really what the score predictions are, so you can see how silly you are going into that post-match Dugout Debate. What do you reckon the score prediction will be against Leyton Orient?
I don't know. Part of me says we'll have too much for the O's. The other part of me says that they've played well in their first two games and have lost quite unfairly. And I do rate Richie Wellens as a manager, and I expect them to bounce back at some point. I don't want it to be against Blues, but personally, I can just see it being a 1-1 draw. Just got a feeling it's going to be a 1-1 draw. So, yeah, maybe that's me wussing out of Dugout Debate a little bit and not putting my neck on the line for the first episode. But there we are. I'm saying 1-1, and maybe that is me just playing it safe for the first episode.
You saw my prediction. I literally was going to go 1-1 as well, so I'm not going to change it. 1-1, I reckon. I think it will be dog-style League One game. I don't think it will be as attacking as we were. But then again, I say that for same with Wycombe. It's 2-1, 1-1. So you never know. We'll see what happens.
Carl's going to come out with 5-0 now. I can see it on his face.
Come on, Carl. Let's bring some positivity. What do you reckon?
Okay, 5-0 is probably a little bit optimistic. I think it will be. I think it'll be a closer game than we expected, or I expected against Wycombe, shall we say? I think we'll win it 2-0. I think from what I saw of the defensive display, granted there are issues against Wycombe that probably need solving, but the defensive display against Charlton when we went down to 10 shows that we can do the beautiful side of the game and the ugly side of the game. And I think if we are building that defensive solidness needs to be built, you've got to get that partnership sorted early, otherwise you're going to be all over the place. So I think he stays with it as it is. I think we get that partnership between the defence and the goalkeeper as well. And I think we'll have too much for them defensively, and Alfred May to get a brace and one either side, I think, of the break. Job done. On we go to Wigan. No, it's the cup game afterwards, isn't it? After Leyton Orient. So, yeah, then on we go to Fulham. So, yeah, I think 2-0 win. Job done. On we go to the league title. Let's do it.
Job done indeed. That's job done for the pod as well for today. Thank you both, gents, for joining me on as always. Carl, appreciate your time, and also Tom Watson. And we're looking forward to hopefully seeing the first episode of Dugout Debate. Hopefully after Leyton Orient going all things well. Thank you all for watching. Then, if you have been, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe over on YouTube. And also thank you for listening as well on the audio wavelengths on Spotify as well. Look forward to bringing you more content here on the EverythingBCFC network, not just EverythingB9. Make sure to check out our special chat with Ian Danter. That's available on YouTube, myself and Tom. So make sure to check that out as well. See what Ian's thoughts are of Blues at the moment, but also the history of Blues as well in his generation and him growing up as a broadcasting legend as well. Really good to have the opportunity to speak to Ian Danter. We're looking forward as well to bringing more chats like that to the BCFC network. But that will do it for today. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, make sure to keep tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Keep right on.